A very good morning to all of you. I'm sorry that I'm not with you in person, but welcome all of you here. We are proud to co-sponsor this event, the Middle East Energy Leadership Summit, together with the Economic Times, and are delighted that all the dignitaries who are here, all of you delegates at this major meeting. As we move to the future, we all realize that an energy transition is key to how we live and perform. It is in this context that the International Solar Alliance has been working with its 120 member countries to focus on the kinds of challenges that each country faces. We are proud that in each country, in the Ministry of Energy, there is a NFP, a national focal point, who is the coordinating, the liaison between the country and the International Solar Alliance. And this national focal point is the person who is responsible for the energy transition. As we have moved ahead, we have noted that while the energy sector has received a lot of funding for solar investment over the last 2 or 3 years, there has been a huge imbalance. The vast amount of the money has gone to OECD countries and China. We need to look at why resources are not flowing into other developing countries. The second issue that we are facing is that there is an inequality as far as energy access is concerned. We see that the vast amount of people in Africa, more than 1 billion today, or nearly 1 billion, do not have access to electricity. When we add on the numbers about people who do not have access to adequate electricity, that means electricity 24 hours a day as much as they need, that number increases. We need to figure out ways on how to meet those. And a third global challenge is that of climate vulnerability. We are seeing that because of droughts, because of floods, because of enhanced coastal cyclones, there is a greater demand for energy, and at the same time the energy infrastructure is also getting inappropriately affected. All of this implies that we need to relook at how the energy sources of the future are built up, and not just because of climate change. All of this requires, therefore, a relook at the economic dynamics of what makes sense to the countries that we are talking about. As we look to the future, we are looking at 3 key issues. First, why is investment not flowing into many countries? Why is it only flowing into the OECD countries and China, and to some extent the emerging countries? When we talked, on the one hand, to approximately 100 investor companies, and on the other hand to about 60 developing countries, we came to the conclusion that there was a perceived risk on the part of investors who were not investing in developing countries because they were not sure of getting a return. And on the part of the developing countries, that they were unsure of putting in the kinds of regulatory changes to give a greater degree of comfort because they weren't sure whether the money would flow. As a result, what we would like is that in each country there is a regulatory framework that pulls investment. How would this occur? This would occur through, first, a series of advocacy pieces. Why is solar attractive? More than anything else, solar is attractive because today, in almost every geography, it provides the cheapest electricity that is available there. In fact, in some geographies, such as in India, you're now getting 24-hour electricity, firm, round-the-clock renewable electricity, which is a mix of solar plus wind plus storage, at prices which are less than that of fossil fuel-based electricity for round-the-clock purposes. This is a big challenge, and therefore the kinds of benefits that countries get by moving towards solar needs to be brought into the equation. The second challenge is solar provides a wonderful way of meeting universal energy access challenges. We did a study last year which showed that in various countries where the largest where the largest energy supply deficit is there, in all of those countries, extending the grid is important. But if you want to extend it for more than 10 kilometers, and that's costly, then setting up solar mini grids where solar plus storage can provide electricity at prices which is less than the cost of electricity that comes over the grid extension. This implies that for various kinds of purposes, the provision of electricity through solar becomes important. And the third challenge is, where on earth do we find the people to enable this transition? We need people who are there in the country, who stay in the country, who make a living out of investment in these kinds of renewable energy resources, including solar energy. Towards those goals, at the International Solar Alliance, we are working with countries to, on the one hand, enhance their regulatory frameworks. So ISA works with the national focal points to work on the creation of the regulatory frameworks that make sense from their policy and historical points of view. We are delighted that in this leadership summit, there would be a session which is co-hosted by the International Solar Alliance, which focuses on what is needed in various countries, both from the investment side and from the regulatory side. And we are delighted that we have the Honorable Minister from the Republic of Malawi who would be speaking on this issue amongst others. We also have an investment agency, investment company who would be speaking on this. The second is the ISA works on reducing the risk, reducing and enhancing the confidence of the investor industry to come in and invest in developing countries. How do we do that? By providing a guarantee. So investors can buy a guarantee which would be run by a private sector agency but pushed by the International Solar Alliance, that enables them to be paid in case they do not get payments. So a payment guarantee mechanism is what we are setting up. Together with this, the regulations, this guarantee facility, and the third is the creation of capacity. So doing the kinds of certification training that is needed to certify people that they can be hired for the purpose. So when projects come up, you've got a group of people who are fit for purpose. We do these trainings in the countries where new projects are going to come up. So we know that these certified, trained people have got projects which would soon give them the employment that they need. We work in a number of areas. We work obviously on financing. We also work on solar panels. We also work on solar pumps. We work on solar mini grids. But we work so that it meets a country's needs. I welcome all of you here and am delighted to make this a wonderful place, a stimulating place for all of us to discuss as we go ahead the energy transition view of the future. Thank you all very, very much.